Okay, let's talk more about the ABCs of trigger control. Yesterday I put out a video and then I got quite a lot of messages and also comments. Here's the thing that I still maintain. You missed the target because of two reasons. First reasons, the sights were not on target, but you took the shot anyway. Second reason, the sights were on target, but by the way you are pressing the trigger, you moved it off target, thus then missing. So let's go through it again. A is when you're touching the trigger, B is the wall, C is where the gun goes back. So the comments were basically saying that they were taught to shoot from B. Nothing wrong with that as long as you understand a few things. And then the other thing they were saying was this, that they were taught like this, that you are going to go bang and then hold the gun or the trigger at C, and then when the gun is back on target, you're going to release slowly until you hear the click, basically being back at B. And when you hear the click, then you go bang again quickly. Let me explain why. The trigger is affected by two things, the weight and the distance. So let's say from A to C. A is when you're touching the trigger, B is the wall, and then C is when the gun goes bang. So let's say from A to C, it's 3 centimeters long, for example. And let's say from A to B, it's 2 centimeters long. So which means if you're used to shooting from B and then you wanted the gun to go bang at C, there's 1 centimeter that you've got that you still have distance and the weight for you to deviate the gun and move it off target. So I wouldn't advise that with that mentality. I would advise it with this kind of thinking, that if you are on B, all you gotta be thinking is, I still have a bit of travel and the gun doesn't go off at B. So that means I gotta press and be patient slightly until the gun goes bang. It doesn't mean that I don't smash the trigger. It just means I smash the trigger understanding that if I shoot from B, I still have to be slightly patient and not just yank it, because then if I yank it, I'm gonna invite my brothers and sisters. And then if I invite my brothers and sisters, it's gonna be a democracy and not a dictatorship. You need to isolate this finger so it's a dictatorship and not inviting your brothers and sisters. Because when they come, it's them first and then you. Them first and then you. That is why your shots land low left if you're right-handed and low right if you're left-handed. So, second reason. Then the other one, they say, no, I'm taught that I must shoot, bang, and then I must hold the trigger back on C. As I'm holding the trigger back on C, get the gun back on target, and then please experiment and try this yourself. When the gun is back on target while you are still holding on C, release the trigger slowly and see what happens to your sights. They're going to move off target. And then the click is going to happen somewhere here, off target. And then what's going to happen? They say immediately as you hear the click, press back quickly. What did I say the first reason of you missing was? You were off target and you took the shot anyway. So please understand, if you want to use the understanding of prepping your trigger, as they call it sometimes, you're going to press and wait on B. But at B, it's not where the gun goes off. It goes off at C, which means you still have to be slightly patient by the way you are pressing, or by the way you are hurrying your trigger, or by the way you are slapping it, or whatever you want to call it, to get to C. Again, I keep on saying, when you get to C, it's going to get slightly heavier again. When it gets slightly heavier, it becomes like 3.1 kilograms. Not by much. So again, it means you just need to lean on the trigger a little bit more. And then sometimes you even get to see this when people go through this. They go through the wall, then they realize there's more, they need more power and more speed. And then because now they're waiting at C, then you get kind of this feeling of the gun. And then you see it, and then you call it a flinch. You're inviting your brothers and sisters as you're shooting. And then how do you see the recoil happening? Because they're putting on pressure twice. The gun behaves as if it's a dolphin in the water. It first dips down, and then it does this, and then it settles. Then you press again, dips down, and then it settles. So we call this like porpoising. Even in F1, it exists, this thing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Anyway, that's the reason why you're missing, my brothers and sisters. First reason, the gun is not on target, and then you took the shot anyway. Second reason, the gun was on target, but the way you are pressing without understanding that you still have distance and you still have weight, and the weight also gets again disrupted by the wall, and again disrupted by the fact that it's going to go bang at C, not at B, you're going to deviate the gun, and that is why you are missing the target. Right, let's go to the range. Stay strapped.